What's up, guys? Artem MMA Analysis here. Going to be talking about PFL 4 2022 regular season, and this fights are only on like 3 days, so I'm a little bit late to the show, but I don't really see too many people making heaps of videos on PFL, so I thought I'd better cover it. Give some of my opinions on some of the fights, because, hey man, I'm not going to lie to you, I feel like there's some fights out there that are a little bit set up for someone in particular to win, and I will point those fights out when they come. But this isn't one of them. This is Bruno Miranda versus Nate Gentleman. I feel like the PFL's trying to build up Bruno Miranda as like one of their prospects. We know they've got a really young English guy that they're trying to build up in the light heavyweight division, and I think Bruno Miranda might be one of them. Like, this is not part of the tournament as far as I'm concerned, and yeah, the PFL's made like a big post about this guy, so obviously I can see they're trying to build him up. I don't really know why, because he's 32 years old. He's a little bit too old to invest a lot of time into. But hey man, it is what it is. He did beat Carson Frey by KO on the Dana White's Contender Series version of PFL. Forgot what it's called now. But before that though, like, the competition isn't too great. He's not even that active either. He's fought 5 times in about 5 years. Nate Gentleman's fought 5 times in about 4 years, so a little bit more active. His one loss recently to Damon Jackson and Rafael Barboza. But yeah, you know what? Like, this guy could be a live underdog. I do believe Bruno Miranda's a pretty big favorite right now to win the fight, and a lot of people picking him to win as well. But Gentleman could be a live dog. I'm gonna side with Miranda though, just because PFL sees something in him, and maybe I can too. I don't really know too much about the guy. I will admit I'm a lot more familiar with guys later on in the card, especially Josh Silveira. This guy's a prospect, and this is a guy, man. I wish I saw him on Dana White's Contender Series, but we didn't see him on Dana White's Contender Series. We saw him on PFL's Contender Series, and he won by submission, 3 months ago, and he earned himself a PFL contract. I'm not too sure if he's in the tournament. I believe he is in the tournament against Martin Hamlet, but he pulled out of his fight. And this guy's good, man. Good LFA background. I believe he was the LFA champion at 205. He's fighting Martin Hamlet, and Martin Hamlet's pretty good. I believe he made it all the way to the semi-finals, or if not the finals, against ACJ in last year. So this is a good test for Josh Silveira as an undefeated prospect. But I'm going to be going with him to win. He's actually a really good fighter. I will be siding with Silveira to get the job done, and he's going to look to take it to the ground as well. But yeah, I'll be going with Silveira just to win in general. This is one of the matchups I feel like is somewhat skewed for big man Rob Wilkinson to get the win. Like, he won in his last one by KO. I think he's getting a first round KO of Victor Pesta. Victor Pesta got knocked out pretty brutally against Mario Akhmedov only 6 weeks ago. Now he's making a quick turnaround, and I think he's going to get knocked out again by Rob Wilkinson. I mean, Rob Wilkinson made a pretty good comeback after his UFC run. It was a few years ago, but he did a couple of boxing fights, bit of kickboxing, in the Australian regional scene, and then he fought Bruce Soto, who was 15-3. He was the underdog in that matchup. I picked him as the underdog. He knocked out Bruce Soto in the second round, and yeah, I'm picking him to knock out Victor Pesta. I think he should knock him out in the first round, though. I'm going to be going with Rob Wilkinson in this one here. He's made a good comeback since his UFC run, and I think he's still a pretty young guy. I don't think he's too old. I think he's only like 30 years old, so yeah, he's only 30 years old, so good for him. Now, Emiliano Sordi versus Delante. I think I'm seeing a lot of people picking Sordi decision. I disagree. I think Sordi's going to finish this guy in the first round. Delante was subbed by ACJ early on into the fight, but ACJ's really, really good, man. Emiliano Sordi, he lost to Corey Hendricks by KO. I know it's not really a good look, but Sordi's a former PFL champion. He's the Dana White's Contender Series reject, but he's not that bad. I feel like he is pretty good. He should be good enough to beat Delante, and he does like to somewhat go all out in the first round, and he should beat Delante. Don't really know anything about Delante apart from the fact that he just didn't really impress me whatsoever against ACJ, so I gotta go with Sordi, man. Now, Natan Shultz versus Marcin Held. This is a very interesting fight because it could go either way. I could definitely respect an underdog pick here, but I will be going with the favorite. I will be going with Natan Shultz in this one here. I think he lost a split decision to Olivier AubinMercier, who's a really good fighter, man. A lot of people picking Mercier to beat someone else, Ralph Manfio, I believe. And I will be going with Manfio as the underdog. So yeah, take those odds as you feel, but yeah, I don't know. Natan Shultz hasn't looked incredible in his last few fights, but he should be able to beat Marcin Held. Very experienced fighter is Held, and I recognise this guy for some reason. I thought maybe he was in the UFC, but he was in the UFC, that's right, a while ago, but he left the UFC and kind of ended up somewhere else. But he had a UFC run. I do remember his UFC run. I think it must have been the Joe Lozon fight that comes to mind, but he's been in there with Diego Sanchez as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, no, the point is, I'll go with Howard. I think the fight probably does go the distance. No, not Howard. I will be going with Shultz. What am I talking about? Amari Akhmedov, first round KO over Theodoros Okdosis. Theodoros Okdosis did not look very good in his last fight against Martin Hamlet, to be honest. And that was off like a 4-year layoff. And Amari Akhmedov, former UFC fighter, man, and he even beat Tom Breese by submission coming into PFL, and then he did lose to Brad Tavares by split decision, and then he lost to Jordan Young. Rest in peace to Jordan Young. But after that, he knocked out Victor Paistor in the first round. It was a brutal KO as well in the first round, and I'm expecting him to do the same sort of thing to poor Theodoros, man. Guy coming off a 4-year layoff with not really any like huge wins, and he ends up in the PFL, and now he's gonna fight Amari Akhmedov. I'm picking Akhmedov to win by KO on this one here. Jeremy Stephens versus Miles Price. Gonna have to go with Jeremy Stephens by KO in the first round. Miles Price, I believe, was submitted by Anthony Pettis in the first round, and I feel like they're just kind of digging for a win for Jeremy Stephens in this one here. Miles Price, he's fought 2 times in like 3 years, and I don't think Stephens is gonna be able to. I do think Stephens is going to finish him, but I don't think Miles Price is going to take the same shots Clay Collard did from Jeremy Stephens in their war. Clay Collard took some shots, man. I don't think Miles Price is able to take the same shots. I think this is a first round KO win for Jeremy Stephens here. I think he gets it done pretty early on, to be honest. Rush Manfio versus Olivier AubinMercier, going with the underdog. I'm going to be going with Rush Manfio. He finished the fight early, I think late in the third, against Don Madge. He was losing that fight against Don Madge. Rush Manfio is pretty controversial, like he's got a controversial win over Anthony Pettis, and I believe he's got another controversial win over Clay Collard as well. But he did win. He is the 2021 champion. He did beat Don Madge, and Don Madge was a very hyped up prospect coming into PFL. But he didn't look super bad in that fight. Olivier AubinMercier, I mean, he's coming back, he's making a comeback from his UFC run where he did lose to some really good guys, and Gilbert Burns and Arman Tsarukyan. I mean, in hindsight, maybe this guy should probably have been allowed to have another shot, but he's 33 years old, he's a bit older than Manfio. I don't know, I just like Manfio a little bit more. PFL 2021 champion. I believe that this is another setup fight for Antonio Carlos Jr. to win. Bruce Soto, he got knocked out by Rob Wilkinson 6 weeks ago, you know what I mean? And now he's fighting ACJ. ACJ, I believe, is going to get the submission pretty early on into the fight. Bruce Soto is one of their PFL, Dana White's Contender Series sort of guys. But yeah, I just don't know if he was quite ready for this, I just don't think he was quite ready to fight someone like Antonio Carlos Jr., someone like Rob Wilkinson. I think maybe you should have, I don't know, man, I just feel like maybe it's just too much too soon to throw him right into the tournament, so that's just all I'm going to say, no disrespect to him, but Antonio Carlos Jr. is a different beast, man. He beat Martin Hamlet by submission 7 months ago to win the $1 million, and then he beat Dylan Monte by first round submission in his first fight this year, and I think he's going to do the same to Bruce Soto. ACJ by submission is a pretty strong pick, in my opinion. And now moving on, Clay Collard versus Alex Martinez. Pretty competitive fight. Alex Martinez is good. He impressed me a lot in his fight against Stevie Ray. I did pick Stevie Ray to beat the fading Alex Martinez, but at one point this guy was 8-0. This guy was a good prospect, and he did beat good guys. He's got a really good win over Loic Radzhabov. That's a really well-aging win, in my opinion, and then he lost to Natan shot by split decision, and then he lost to Loic Radzhabov again, but hey man, it is what it is. But Alex Martinez is pretty good. I believe his dad owns the gym that he trains out of. He's a young guy. He's a pretty good prospect that I think that the PFL were able to scoop up. But I don't think he's good enough to beat Clay Collard. Because Clay Collard, man, he's good. And he's also a star of the PFL. The PFL likes this guy. I think it's mainly his win over Anthony Pettis that built up that hype. But the loss to Rush Manfio was somewhat controversial, and then he beat Jeremy Stephens in a war that was really exciting. That's a great fight if you haven't seen it before. So I do like Clay Collard to use the boxing, keep it on the feet, and use the boxing to win a decision on this one here. Maybe we could see a KO from Collard, but Collard hasn't got a finish in a while. Not necessarily expecting a finish. I think he should probably win by decision. So yeah, I'll be going with Clay Collard to win the main event, but very exciting fight in my opinion. I think this whole card's pretty good. I think there's a few guys that are set up to win, like Akhmedov as an example, Sorty as an example, Rob Wilkinson's an example. Somewhat, definitely ACJ as well. Somewhat, Jeremy Stephens is set up to beat Miles Price. I think we're gonna see a good card. I think we're gonna see a couple of good finishes as well. So definitely keep your eye out for some finishes. Well, I will be going with Clay Collard in the main event. So I'll see you in the next one.